Good evening, everyone. Communiqué IIT Kharagpur welcomes you to the fifth day of the Internship Training Week. I, Sujay Vivek, along with Ishita Mutneja, shall be the host for this panel discussion. Today, we will get insights into a rather important and versatile profile of software. We hope this discussion addresses most of your queries and provides you with all relevant and essential details. We would also be having a Q&A session at the end of the discussion to address all your queries.
In today's session, we have with us a very competent set of panelists from IIT Kharagpur. I take immense pleasure in introducing them to you. First, we have with us Mr. Shivansh Shukla, who is currently interning at Graventon. Shivansh, would you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, sure. So, hi guys, I am Shivansh Shukla. I am a third year undergraduate in the Department of CSC enrolled in its BTech course at IIT Kharagpur. Apart from that, I am a boarder of LBS Hall of Residence. I like competitive programming, watching movies, and yeah, that's all about me.
Thank you, Shivansh.
Next, we have Ms. Rashi Patil, interning in Google. Rashi, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Rashi Patil. I'm from IIT Chhattisgarh, and I'm doing BTech in Electronics and Electrical Communication Engineering, and I'm a boarder of SNIG Hall. I like dancing and painting. Yeah, that's all about me.
Thank you, Rashi.
Last but not least, we have Mr. Priyanjit Podder, who has grabbed an internship in Morgan Stanley. I would like to request Priyanjit to introduce himself.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Priyanjit. I am from the Department of Mining Engineering, enrolled in its BTech course, and I'm also a boarder of Azad Hall of Residence. And I enjoy playing tennis and watching movies and stuff like that. And also, I'm from Mumbai. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you, Priyanjit. Before starting with the discussion, I would like to congratulate the panelists for their amazing accomplishments. We look forward to learning a lot from you all.
So, starting the panel discussion, the first question is, internships play an important role in the professional life of an individual. So it goes without saying that choosing the right company to intern, that is of prime importance. There are quite a large number of companies that come for recruiting interns, and it might be difficult to find the one that suits you best. So could the panelists tell us who one should prioritize a company? Shivansh, would you like to begin?
Yeah, sure. So, I think it depends on the person's interest and also the confidence he or she has in the company in which he or she is interested. So broadly, if you talk about day one, day two companies, they can be which come for software role. They can be classified into HFTs, banks, and product-based companies like Google, Microsoft, Amazon. So yeah, I think he should. The person should always, of course, contact the seniors who are currently interning in those companies or have previously interned or currently working as a full time, and then accordingly they should decide whatever the companies they are interested. But when the companies appear in ERPA, I would advise try to apply in all of them for the initial stage. Don't be too much selective in the initial stage. I think other panelists can move forward.
Thank you, Shivansh. Rashi, could you share your views also?
Yeah, I agree with Shivansh. So don't be very selective in the beginning. You can apply for almost all the companies from the profile you're interested in. And among that, if you have a particular interest in any company, you should talk to the senior who has interned there before or worked there before to know what kind of work that company does so that you get a clear picture about it. And then you can decide on whether you want that or not.
Thank you, Rashi. Priyanjit, would you like to add on?
Yeah, I'll agree to both of them that do not prioritize at all. And like for example, I hadn't prioritized on anything because you shouldn't prioritize on any of the companies. You should apply it, as Shivan said, you should apply to all of them at least for day 1, 2, and 3, at least till 4 days. For the first 4 days you should apply to almost all of them, because all of the companies are good. And being very honest, most of us don't know what real work we'll be doing in the internship. So you never know what work you'll be doing, so apply to all of them. And be have an open mind, and like uh, solve questions and stuffs like that. I think that works. But yeah, once you have a short list, once you have on the day of interview, once you have maybe 2 or 3 shortlists. For example, I had 2 shortlists, so then you can prioritize that. Yeah, for example, I had prioritized that I wanted to give a particular company's interview first before the other company's interview. Like I had made that clear to the place com. Most of the times it will be possible, sometimes it won't be because there are time constraints and stuffs like that. But yeah, then you can prioritize that. Okay, maybe I would prefer going to this company, and whichever company you like better or you feel you're liking better, you should always give that interview first. But that is at the interview stage, not when you're applying at ERP.
Okay. Thank you, Priyanjit. Thank you, panelists, for your valuable inputs.
Now, addressing a major concern among students. There's a lot of confusion among the students about how many profiles they should apply for as to maximize their chances of getting a good internship. Rashi, would you like to address this question?
So I prepared for two profiles. Like I prepared for SD and quant. I would suggest that if you have like if you are interested in a particular profile, you can prepare for it, but don't keep it like you're preparing for all the profiles and not preparing thoroughly. Like you should prepare for a profile well to your best, and then you can prepare for another profiles as well. But yeah, keep one profile as your main profile that you want to go in, and then if you are interested in other profiles, you can.
That was really informative. Pranchit, would you like to add on?
Yeah, I'll just agree with Rashi on this, that select at least one important profile. Let it be software or consulting or whichever you have done the best in. So keep one main profile, and after that you can maybe keep 1 or 2 extra profiles, and build something on that. But focus on your main profile first.
Shivansh, please add on your views.
Yeah, like I agree with both of them. Like personally, like I was also thinking of preparing for software and quant. And if you have some prior knowledge of ML, then also prepare for data role. But like, don't just abrupt, like it is not good to just prepare for every profile that comes, and you should go deep in one of them and have some good understanding of other. That is advisable.
Thank you all. That was really informative.
Moving on to the next question. Panelists, could you please tell the audience what is the generalized selection process for the companies, the number of rounds and nature of the process for the companies you interview? Priyanjit, please share your views on this.
Yeah, so the general trend is that we have one online test, and that consists of sometimes there are two online tests as well. So in case there are two online tests, the first will be a psychometric test, in which they test uh, your views on general matters. That they put you in situations that what if this happens in a company, what if you are in this situation, what if your boss does this, and what will you do. So they generally test that, are you fit for the job, are you fit for that intern or not. So that is it, and that does not have like a right answer always. Like any of the questions don't have a right answer, but you need to be smart enough, key what a company generally expects when they ask those type of questions. And apart from that, the other main round will be a technical round where they'll be asking the technical questions. If it is for software role, then obviously there'll be coding questions, there'll be DSA, and apart from DSA, there'll be questions on general aptitude, as well as sometimes there are probability questions as well. But those are normal probability questions. I haven't given any HFT exams, but over there the probability questions are going to be very tough. Yeah. And after that, once you clear the technical round and you're selected for the interview round, then generally the trend is to have two interviews. One is the main tech interview, where you will be grilled on technical questions, DSA and OOPS. I was grilled very bad on OOPS and simple questions on DSA, but very tough questions on OOPS. And secondly, the second round would be an HR round, where again those kind of questions they'll ask you, like they'll ask you live and they expect you to answer based on the situations they give you. But that will be a kind of a chill round. Like the HR round will be a very chill round, but yeah, don't take it lightly. But you need to, for an HR round you need to have a different kind of approach to that. And for a technical round you just need to, you just need to hope that you are able to answer them correctly, and if you're not able to get to an answer, you should at least speak out loud so that the interviewer knows what you're saying. But for the HR round, like, be smart enough to answer those correctly, the situations correctly.
Thank you, Priyanjit. Rashi, kindly share your thoughts as well.
Yeah, so the general process is as what he told. I can tell about Google. So for Google, it was like an online coding round. And then later, after that, based on the coding round's performance as well as your CV, they shortlisted students for interview. And Google conducts two tech interviews. There are no HR interviews. So yeah, two technical rounds, and that's it.
Thank you, Rashi. Would you like to share your views, Shivansh?
I think they covered most of the points. So just to add upon them, so just to cover HFT point of view. So for HFT, the process is almost same, but like few companies they have different tests for SD and quant, and few companies they have same test through which they shortlist. So like companies like QuantBox and NK Securities, I think. So they have no, I think not NK Securities. Like for QuantBox, they have a test. The first section it has a coding question. The second section which has some probability questions and C++ OOPS related questions. So from there, they shortlist based on some criteria. And for other companies like for Graviton and some other firms, they had separate tests for like quant and SD. So for SD, it is the pattern is same as what they told: coding questions plus few MCQs on various stuff. Sometimes they also have negative marking. So yeah, J reminds of J. So, and for quant, I didn't appear for any test specifically because I just applied to all software companies. But what I heard from people is that they have some, like for Graviton quant, it was like they had some questions which people need to solve on pen and submit, like we had test. And for others also, it is like mostly probability questions and logical reasoning. So yeah, that's it.
Okay. Thank you, Shivansh. Thank you, panelists. That was really informative.
Moving on, we all know how important building a good CV is for showcasing our skills and achievements, and thus getting a good internship. So, can the panelists provide some valuable insights on building a good CV, so software profile, and are online courses worth writing in it? Shivansh, would you like to go first?
Okay, so if we talk about day one, day two companies, the CV does not play that much important role, but it plays important role if we move further for day three, day four, and onwards companies. So like mostly they shortlist through CG. So make sure you have a good CG. And but yeah, there are also cases when people have low CG, but still they have very nice CVs and they got shortlisted. So try to do some projects which are worth mentioning in CV. They need not be Like try to think of something different rather than just googling up and finding out the standard projects. Try to do some projects. You can also mention if you have done some previous internship and all. So yeah, I think that's all about CV. Also, like if you have done competitive programming, participated in contests like Google Kickstart, Facebook Hacker Cup, you can mention these ranks in CV. They also, like especially for HFTs, they play an important role. Apart from that, if you have any PORs or extracurricular academies, you can also, like at the end you need to fill the CV. You have to make a one page CV, so you can adjust accordingly. But although the PORs and all, I don't think they matter much for software companies.
Thank you, Shivansh. Rashi, would you like to add on?
Yeah, I agree with him. Like PORs don't matter for software companies, and like you can write about your past internships if you had any, and you can add on the projects you have done. It could be self projects or professor projects under professors or anything like that. You can write about the competitive programming you have done. So yeah, you have to fill up one page CV and try to increase the quality of it as much as possible. That's it.
Thank you, Rashi. Priyanjit, please share your views on this.
I think both of them covered it pretty well. Like, there's nothing extra to be added, but just that online courses are not really worth writing. But if like, yeah, at the end of the day, you need to fill that one page ka CV, right? So if you have very good interns, and I didn't have any, but if you have very good interns, and those are which are worth writing for, then like I don't think any space would remain for extra, to write extra on online courses and stuff. But if you do not have, then yeah, you can always add some online courses in that courses section in that ERP ka CV builder. Yeah, but apart from that, I don't. Yeah, having good projects, and as Shivan said, having some, just not just googling stuff, and having some special, doing something different from the general trend is very important. And yeah, if you have any internships, that would be very good. And yeah, also having a very good CG.
Just to add on whatever is said, so make sure you contact seniors and ask them to review your CV before the deadline, because sometimes we think that we have made good CV, but if it eventually turns out to be opposite. So yeah, contact senior at least two or three and ask them to review CV. That would be extremely helpful.
Yeah, exactly. And also at the same time, sometimes we think that the CV, as Sivan said, we think that the CV is very good, but there are alignment problems. The date is over there, the date is over here, which plays a very like important role. If somebody looks at your CV, and everything is unaligned, and your topic is over here and your date is somewhere down or something like that, so that plays a very negative role. So ensure that you get it reviewed by a few seniors and maybe some friends also.
Thank you, Priyanjit and Shivansh.
Moving forward, what can be the best way to prepare for general aptitude, probability, and statistic questions? And what would be the ideal time to start focusing on them? So, Rashi, would you like to answer this first?
Okay, so yeah, probability and statistics kind of questions do come in quant companies. Like for SDs, they usually don't ask it. And for preparation, like if you have enough time, you can study that from Statistic 110 course from Harvard. That is really good, but only if you have enough time for it. Like right now, if you haven't studied that, I wouldn't recommend studying it from there because it's a big course. Otherwise, like for HFTs, I don't have that idea. But for quant companies, they don't ask very hard probability. Like normal medium probability should do. So maybe the course you had in your second year or first year, I guess we have a probability course, so that course should be enough. Revising that course could be enough.
Thank you, Rashi. Priyanjit, would you like to add on?
Yeah, like Rashi covered it very well. So I think the more importance should be given on DSA and solving coding questions. But if you think you're confident enough and you are at a very high level, then you can go ahead and solve probability and statistics courses. So for probability, like as Rashi said, you can go ahead and like study the stats 110 course, and maybe if you have more time, then you can try those heard on the street books and Jingping Zhao also. I did not have any time to solve any of them, but generally in software companies they don't ask those kind of tough questions, not at all. Maybe in HFTs and quants sometime, in quant profiles they do, but not over here. So general 12th standard ka prop stats and 12th ka general aptitude should work. And we also had like a prop and stats course on in our third or fourth semester, for some on third and for some on fourth. So that is a very good course, I think. If like you can go ahead and revise that.
Okay, thank you, Priyanjit. Shivansh, kindly share your thoughts as well.
Yeah, I think they both covered it nicely. I don't have anything further to say.
Okay. So thank you, panelists. That was very informative.
How important is DSA and competitive coding in relation to the software profile? What should be the approach of a beginner towards competitive programming? Which platform should they prefer? Rashi, would you like to address this question?
Yeah, so DSA and competitive programming, like it's the soul of this profile. So I did DSA mainly from interview bit and little from lead code. I wasn't very consistent with competitive programming. Like I used to give contests on code forces, but I wasn't very consistent with that. But yeah, interview bit and lead code are good. You can solve questions on that.
That was very informative. Shivansh, would you like to share your views?
Yeah, as Rashi said, DSA and CP is like the backbone of software profile. Most of the companies which come in day 1 and day 2, they expect you to be not have a basic idea, but you need to be proficient if you want to get an intern in day 1 or day 2 companies, because like the competition in KGP is very high. Like you can't have some basic idea and you expect to get an intern in day 1 or day 2 companies. So yeah, make sure to practice CP and DSA. For CP, like you can participate in Code Forces, Code Chef, and at Coder, all type of contests there. Also, there are some contests conducted by like Google used to previously conduct, but now they have stopped. But Facebook still conducts Facebook Hacker Cup. It used to like it will happen around August or September. So those who are in those who are in first year, they can consider participating in them. And it is like you get to learn a lot of from these contests, and also you get some rank which you can mention in CV if it is good enough. So yeah, DCSA and CP. Also, like if you are just doing CP, then you can't consider that you have also completed DSA preparation, because DSA needs to be done separately, I believe. There are topics like binary tree, stacks, queues, and other stuff which are not rarely used, I should say, in CP. But yeah, they play an important role sometimes in DSA and also in interviews. So for that, as Rashi said, interview bit is a good platform. You can solve at least a few questions from each bucket there. And also, if you have enough time, then you can consider solving questions from lead code, because lead code has a large variety of questions. And yeah, I think that covers it mostly. Also, like there is ongoing GOC CDC series in which the previously asked questions from previous year, what companies in day 1, day 2, or day 3 they have asked. These questions are framed by the people over there, and you can consider participating in those competitions. So they will give you a nice understanding of how the actual questions are going to be, because they are not, I would say, they are not exactly similar to CP, or and also they are not exactly similar to DSA. They are around in between. So Google Kickstart is a good coding competition, I would say, in which has difficulty which is similar to the like the questions which appear in coding rounds of day 1, day 2 companies. So you can check out its archive. It is available, I think. So and you can consider solving those questions. That would be very helpful.
Thank you, Shivansh. That was really informative. Priyanjit, would you like to add on?
I don't think I need to add anything, but yeah, like Shivansh said it beautifully that you need to have a very good knowledge of CP and DSA, and I would say that let's say 1 month is remaining from now till the tests start. So I would say those who are doing CP can uh, start focusing more on doing interview bit questions and lead code questions from now on, because at least expect at least you should solve at least 150 to 200 questions from interview bit, which is very less, but just saying that you need to at least solve few questions from every, and some of the important topics such as DPs and graphs and the general problems which are generally asked in the coding rounds. And interview bit and lead code have these tags which have so basically a question is there, and that question was asked where it is also mentioned, so you can like refer to that also, that this question was asked in Google, this question was asked in Microsoft, something like that. So you can try solving them, and yeah, that is very much it.
Thank you, Priyanjit.
Given the time left, how should one prioritize between self-projects, summer internships, and preparation? Also, can you provide a proper roadmap for the last 1 month left? So, Priyanjit, could you share your views first?
Yeah, I think self projects though is you should like you should only pick up those projects at this stage. You should only, if you have projects, then good, don't focus on them. If you have projects to add on your CV, then don't focus at all. But if you don't, then only take those projects which are a bit on the easier side, like you can finish within 2 3 days, because more important should be given on internship preparation like CP and DSA. So yeah, and like you can start, you if you haven't started giving contests, then I would say don't give too many contests, because time isn't like there isn't a lot of time there from now. But yeah, solving interview bit, and if you have time, then lead code questions. Lead code has more than like 2000 or 3000, I don't remember exactly, but interview bit has around 600 questions, so you can like start solving interview bit questions, and like keep on practicing the new concepts, because the companies in day 1, day 2 and 3, they prefer a very high level of knowledge, and there will be some companies which will ask very tough questions. So sometimes it does happen, and sometimes companies end up asking very easy questions as well. So easy though is fine, easy though everyone will be able to do, but the tough questions, so you need to have some concept clearance.
Thank you, Priyanjit. Rashi, kindly share your views as well.
Yeah, so I agree with him. Like, pick up self projects only when you don't have any other projects to write on. And like right now, if I talk about it, if you are someone who hasn't given many contests on code courses, or is not very consistent with it, like right now, don't focus on that. Focus more on interview bit and lead code. Practice more DSA, and like keep revising the concepts you have already studied, because revising is very important. Without revising, it's not worth it. So yeah, keep revising everything you've studied and focus more on DSA.
Thank you, Rashi. Shivansh, would you like to add on?
Yeah, I think they covered most of the parts. So I would like to share my my personal thing about it. So for me, I didn't have any internship or other project. I just have a course project to mention in CV. So I was thinking to make some kind of a project based on full stack web development, but I was just delaying it. So around June, around this time only, when CDC notification came, so I hurriedly talked to my friend and asked, so let's do it. So for that, few days ago, someone DM me asking for what kind of projects he could make, and can you share some thoughts. So it need not be like, it is not generally advised to make something which is already done by many people. It need not be a rocket science. You can just do a simple basic thing. So like for me, uh, I used to do CP a lot. So after the contest in Code Forces, I used to analyze a lot of things like how much questions I have done in this period or that. So for that, there is a CF visualizer, but I used to do some analysis part, like how much questions I was able to solve in this period and how much time I took to solve, let's say, problem A, B, or C. So for that, I used to like manually maintain on an Excel sheet. So to automate that process, and I also observed many other people also do some same type of thing. So I, along with my friend, we kind of make a CF analyzer, which does these things by if you enter the handle. So yeah, like it was not a very heavy project, but still it was helpful to other people also, and it, I think it seemed fine on CV as well. So yeah, it need not be try to do something, and only try to do something if you haven't uh, done anything so far. Otherwise, if you have some decent projects to mention in CV, don't bother about it. Just focus on CP and DSA preparation. You can also solve CSES problem set. It also has very nice collection of problems which you can solve. So yeah, I think that is all.
Thank you, panelists. That was very informative.
Moving ahead, many students are concerned about what the interviewer expects from them. So, based on your experience, can you provide some insights as to what level of expertise the interviewer expects from us? Priyanjit, would you like to take up this one?
Yeah, sure. So I think the interviewer expects a good level of understanding, like so how good you have solved in the test, that you should be that good in the interview only. Like, because if you have done something else and you made your friend give you a test or something like that, that won't help, because at the end in the interview you'll be grilled very bad. So yeah, I think in the interviews it's a bit different. Like, I would say focus on uh, basic questions which are generally asked in the interviews. Not by basic I don't mean easy, I mean tough questions, but standard questions. So I was grilled like very bad on oops. I did not prepare well about oops, and some stuffs like classes inheritance, and like CSE people study that, so I think they have a good knowledge of it, but I did not have. And I was grilled very bad on child and parent relationships and polymorphism and something like that. So I hadn't prepared well on that, and I only used my previous knowledge and answered all of them. I was right on most of it, but yeah, again, I should have prepared it. So yeah, you can study oops, which is very important. And apart from that, I would say go through the interview questions on interview bit, and uh, like other websites as well, previous year questions which were asked generally. You can talk to your seniors, start pinging them, start bothering them, start asking questions. You know how to do that. You can ping them on messenger, on anywhere, like on WhatsApp also, anywhere you want, and start asking them what whichever company you find you are interested in, start at least start asking from those seniors that how was your interview, what different were you asked in your interview, and some stuff like that. For example, like as I said, in my interview round, in my technical interview round, I was asked questions on oops, and then the DSA part was a bit easy. I was asked they twist a question a bit, but more or less it will be easy only. But sometimes they do ask tough questions like in other companies, but I was asked easy questions on, there was a question on array only and a linked list question. So that was easy. But yeah, oops was tough. So yeah, something like that. Start asking questions to seniors and everybody. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Pranjit. Rashi, would you share your views on this as well?
Yeah, so interviewers definitely expect you to solve the problem they give you. Like, you should think out loud. You should have a clear understanding of the problem they gave you, and also the STLs you use. Like, for me in my interview, while I was writing the code, if I use an STL, the interviewer was asking me about more about it, like how is it implemented. So you should have a clear understanding of whatever code you're writing. And yeah, one like for me it was like they gave me a problem. I told them my approach, then they asked me to implement it. I implemented it, and after that they asked me a follow-up question on the same question. So you can answer that only if you have a clear understanding of the concept. So yeah, interviewers expect that. And yeah, you should be friendly. You should think out loud. You should be able to convey your opinion, like your views and whatever you're thinking clearly to the interviewer. Yeah.
Thank you, Rashi. Shivansh, would you like to add on?
Yeah, sure. So I think both of them covered most of the parts nicely. So just to add upon it, uh, also like go through CV. Like sometimes they do ask questions from CV. If you have mentioned some projects, so they can ask questions related to that project. And if you have mentioned some keywords or some tech tools you have used in it, so they can ask you questions related to that. So I would advise one day before or maybe 2 days before, just go through the CV and ask yourself what, if you are the interviewer, what questions you can ask, and just read about all those things and prepare yourself accordingly. Also, sometimes people clear the technical interview rounds and they end up fucking in HR rounds. So also do prepare for HR rounds. Like for HFTs, they don't have much serious HR rounds, but for other product-based companies, they do have HR rounds. So just there is a standard set of questions which people prepare and interviewer asks. So just go through them. You can ask ChatGPTs what could be the questions in HR round, and just go through them and speak to yourself. Like prepare what you would be speaking at that moment. Don't just leave that. Okay, it would be fine. Also, as Priyanjit mentioned, that OOPS is a very important, especially for BTech people. Like for dual degree people, I think if you have done a course in OS and network, then they are essentially the most important part. But for BTech people, OOPS is a very important thing. You should have also clear understanding of whatever tools you are using. As Rashi said, STL, having a decent knowledge of how, let's say, vector is implemented, how map work. These kind of questions are often asked, like what is the difference between unordered map and ordered map. So go through them. There you can find a lot of things in Google if you just Google about them. So go through them. And also like specifically talking about HFT, so prepare for advanced DSA topics also. Like my first like after introduction, my interview start with a question on try, which is a topic most of the people skip, and it is not even taught in general like normal course, DSA course. So focus on, also if you are targeting HFTs or similar companies, then do prepare for advanced topics also, because they're gonna ask you about that. Uh, yeah, I think also have a clear understanding of how, let's say you are using C++. So for HFTs, it's important that you pay attention to the minute details within it. Like I was asked question, what is, let's say, what is the pointer, so everyone would be able to answer. But then they ask, what is the difference between const int star p and const star int p. So you should have basic, like go through them. So for that, I would advise there's a course in CS department, software engineering. It has a very decent set of slides for these OOPS and language fundamentals. Go through them. It would be very helpful. Yeah, I think that's all.
Thank you, Shivansh. That was really helpful.
As the internship season approaches, pressure builds up, and everyone tries to find a suitable approach or strategy to cope up with the same and get well prepared. So, panelists, I kindly request you to give some last moment preparation tips and strategies to ace the interviews. Priyanjit, would you like to go first?
Yeah, I think there are no last moment prep tips. Just focus on, solving questions for now, and like have some projects to list in your CV. And if you have a research intern or an intern, that is a very positive thing. Like I had a research intern which filled up most of the part of my CV. And well, don't ask me about the work. It was well, even if you do not, if you, even if the work is light, but yeah, it does fill up a lot part of your CV, so that helps a lot. And yeah, focus more on solving questions, because if you're not selected in the technical online coding round at the first place, then that won't make any sense. You're like, because companies don't A few companies do shortlist, but that is generally based on CG only. So CG का तो अभी कुछ नहीं कर सकते because CG तो is done for and done deal. You cannot change it as for now. But yeah, focus more on solving questions, because if you're shortlisted based on your CG and then you're able to do good, that is when you'll be selected for the interview. Then you can focus more on how should I answer the online interview rounds and stuff like that.
Thank you, Priyanjit. Rashi, please share your strategy with us.
Yeah, like he told everything. But yeah, keep revising everything that you have studied. Like be in touch with all the topics that you have practiced. And for interviews, do look up to some HR questions. Like you'll find common answers to all many HR questions. So have a look at that and be well prepared for that. Yeah, other than that, nothing as such as last moment like preparation goes on.
Thank you, Rashi. Shivansh, we'd like to hear your views as well.
Yeah, like I agree with both of them. Apart from that, just if you have some topics which you haven't prepared for, like, at all, like for me, I didn't have any knowledge of try and some other string try, bit try, and some other advanced topics. So in the last month, just before the coding rounds, I just go through what is them and just solve a few problems, like 4 to 5 basic problems, to get understanding, get a flavor of how the problem would be. So with this, what will happen if a question is asked, you can at least approach to the problem, you can at least try and put effort. Otherwise, you will just end up saying, "Oh, I don't know the topic." So rather than this, it's better that you have a basic understanding of most of the advanced topics. But I'm seeing this with the with assuming that you have covered most of the important topics. If you are not good in DP, like the most important topics which you would be asked and you will notice the questions are asked from is DP, graphs, and trees. So most of the questions are based on them. Apart from that, there are normal arrays or like that question, but I think most of the people would be able to solve. But yeah, so for these problems, first prepare them to the best, and if you are confident enough in them, then just wrap up other topics, just have a basic understanding of how they work. And in the last month, if you haven't prepared for, let's say, oops, because like for HFTs they will grill you heavily on it, and for companies like Dish, or I heard, they ask heavily on oops question. So for that, just having a basic knowledge is not gonna help you. You should have deep down understanding of how virtual functions. They will start questions from virtual functions. So you should have deep understanding of all the advanced topics within that. So yeah, for as I already mentioned, you can go through the slides uh, of software engineering course under CS department. Also, you can go through the Geeks for Geeks articles. They are very nice.
Thank you, Shivansh. Thank you, panelists. That was quite insightful.
So now we are taking up the questions in the chat box. Audience, please feel free to post your unresolved queries in the chat box and we'll take up your questions from there.
I think there is already one question by Sarthak.
Yes. So, panelists, we have a question by Sarthak. What if we don't have an intern in SE profile, but in finance and other profiles? So, is self-project needed or not?
So I would say what you have done and what you are mentioning in CV, they need not be same. Okay, so if you frame it in such a way that it appears kind of a SD project, so let's say you have done a project in finance, so just make a wrapper around it, try to spend 1 or 2 days in it, just try to make a wrapper around it so that it appears like a SD project, and you can mention that.
Thank you, Shivansh. Any other panelists who want to answer?
I think like self projects is needed in other profile, in the sense that in other profiles, like for example finance or yeah, as Shivan said, you could try doing that. Like I have never tried anything something like that, but yeah, you could try doing that. If you have a project on finance, and you can make it appear like it is of SD or some other. But yeah, for other profiles, I think for example for consult also, you don't really need projects. In that there are different requirements. For finance, for example, there are not a lot of companies, but if there are, but they would expect you to have cleared FRM or something like that, and maybe have a very good knowledge of finance. And if you have done any something like those models such as Arima, Sarima, and those time series models, and stuffs like that for finance. And for consulting, you need to have a very good POR and things like that, and should have
Thank you,
participated in
Pranjit.
case study competitions as well. Yeah.
That was really informative. So we have other questions. How to improve performance in contests, especially in code first? Asked by Aditya. Any of the panelists would like to take up this question?
Okay, so I would say it won't happen suddenly. You need to have patience, you need to have perseverance, and just have faith that it will eventually improve. Just keep preparing, like keep practicing problems, and in contest have a like sit in a peaceful place and put your like don't give up during the contest. Like what used to happen when I was in my first or second year, that after submitting problem B, I read the problem statement of C, and then I think there are very less submission, so I won't be able to solve, and I just leave the contest. So don't do that. Try thinking till the last moment. Try thinking of various approach, and then just like keep participating in contest, and make sure after the contest you solve at least one more problem than what you were able to solve during the contest. Otherwise it is the spending time in participating in contest is not worth it, because if you don't solve the problem which you were not able to solve, then how would you expect to improve, right? So yeah, after participating in contest, make sure to discuss the problem, see the tutorial first, try yourself, and then if you're not able to solve still, then see the tutorial. And yeah, I think that was enough.
So the next question is, if we have a low CG, like less than 8, is it very difficult to get shortlisted?
Yeah, it is very difficult to get shortlisted, and well, I had a CG of 8.5, and it was very hard to get shortlisted. And uh, well, let's say that you will get shortlisted in most of the companies with 8.5 for the interview, for the technical online coding rounds, but you won't be shortlisted for, because being very honest, for day one to till 4 also, most of the people have very good CGs. And I don't really know what is the situation right now, because everything is offline. But in our case, last year, everybody had a very good CG, like unlike me. But everybody had a very good CG. If you and most of the people applying in day one and two companies, they are from they they have good CGs. And even if it is a bit less this time, still people will have very good CG. It will be difficult to get shortlisted, but yeah, keep going. Like it, well, many companies don't like allow everybody to give a test. Some companies don't. In especially in day one and two, there are a few companies which shortlist first, and well, there is D Shaw which shortlisted for the online test round also. They shortlisted first, and then they allowed some people to give the interviews for the online test. Sorry, and but there are a few companies such as Sprinkler and Uber was our first test, so everybody can give those like those companies ka test everybody can give. So yeah, if you have a very good understanding of CP and DSA, then I think like you will have problems, but yeah, you'll eventually be good. You'll eventually be good to go. I know a few of my friends who had low CG, but ended up getting a very good intern. but yeah, it will be a bit difficult because everybody else, like because we are competing with our own fellow batchmates, right? Everybody else will be having a very high CG, at least in the first 4 days, 3 days, 4 days.
Thank you,
Thank you,
panelists.
Priyanjit.
What are
So
the
just to
approximate?
add upon it, sorry. Uh, yeah, so just to add upon it, I would suggest don't panic on things which are not in your control, right? So instead, spend time in solving more and more problems. Like if your rating are good enough, you have good ranking in like coding competitions, then sometimes like company shortlist based on that also. So yeah, don't panic on CG if because it is not in your control right now. Instead, try to focus on more and more topics because most of the companies, around 90%, they shortlist based on what is your performance in coding competitions. And most of the companies have 7+ criteria as far as I remember, except few companies. So you will be allowed to sit in the coding round, but you need to perform exceptionally well there. Like have to solve all the problems fast, and yeah. So that's it.
Thank you, Shivansh. So the next question is, what are the approximate core forces ratings of questions asked in the online rounds asked by Samir? Would any one of the panelists like to take up this question?
So like it is, they are generally around like what happens generally. There is, let's say there are three questions, then one would be around 1200 to 1400. Then there could be a question around 1500, 1600, and for some companies there can be hard question also around 1800 to 2000. So yeah, but like for a sprinkler, as far as I remember, there are three questions. The first one was pretty easy, most of the people were able to solve. The second question was nice enough, I would say around 1600 to 1700, and then the last question was very nice, DP on tree problem, so that was around 1800 to 1900 or maybe 2000. But after like finally they shortlisted most of the people who were able to solve the first two questions and partially the third one. So yeah, just to mention this also, like in CP what happened is there is a binary scoring. Either you are able to solve a problem or you miss some test case and you don't get any score. But for coding round what happened is you get score based on the test cases you have passed. So sometimes it happens that your solution is you just submitted a brute force, it passed 4 test cases. And there was a person who was thinking of full solution and he wasn't able to pass anything and he didn't get shortlisted. So this is also an important thing when you are like solving, when you're participating in a coding competition. So make sure like when you are sitting on the actual coding round, so make sure you decide wisely that whether you will be able to solve the full question, whether you should go for the full solution or you should first submit a brute force and then try for other. So yeah, that's a trade-off which you need to think of.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Yeah.
Shivansh.
Shivan.
Yeah, so I'll just add on that yeah, that was very true that unlike in the coding unlike in the contests which you generally give, uh, the online tests are a bit different, that you can also submit partial solutions and they'll be accepted as well. It depends on the test cases. There are 10 test cases, so maybe your brute solution passed on 4 or 5 of them, so you'll get some partial marks. For example, I remember the Uber test. The first question was very easy, and the second question, there were 4 questions, if I'm not wrong, and the fourth question was wrong. So it wasn't right. That
Yeah,
is
it
what I
had
have.
some error
Yeah,
in
but
test
I
case
wasn't.
indeed.
So see, I wasn't able to, have a look also at the fourth question. The third question was I checked later. The third question was an exact question from Code Forces. Like it was asked earlier somewhere else. I don't remember, but it was a binary search question. No, the third question was a BP question. I think the second question was a binary search question. It was an 1800 rated question. But yeah, so you should be wise enough to make out ki मेरे पास कितना time बाकी है and if I'll be able to solve that, or should I just somehow pass a brute force solution first, and then if I have some time left, then I can go ahead and start thinking on whether I should apply some advanced concept or not. So yeah.
Thank you, Priyanjit. That was really helpful. So the next question is by Mohit. Can an economic guy will not be shortlisted just because of branch?
Like in day one, day two companies, there is a little bias on branch. But yeah, again, if you perform exceptionally well, then there are chances you will be shortlisted. But then, yeah, bias is there.
Yeah, so like I would say that Shivansh and Rashi are from Circuital branch. I'm not from a Circuital branch. So you need to keep a few things in mind that first talk to seniors or have at least look at the previous year ka data, that what do companies generally prefer. Do they prefer taking Circuital people? Like they'll allow everybody to give the test, but at the end they'll always select Circuital people. So if it is something like that, then you can accept that maybe, and it is a thing in day one and two companies. Later also it is a thing, but in day one and two, especially in day one and two companies, they generally do that. And also a few times like generally everybody's BTech over here. If there are dual degree, then also good. But for there are a few companies which do this, that they select only dual degree people. So you can go ahead and look at the data, previous year data, or maybe ask someone who is interning in that company that if even if I perform very well at the tests, generally tests are allowed for everybody generally, if unless you have a very low CG or something, they allow everybody to give the test. So but at the end, a few companies do that. They select based on maybe departments, or whether you're a BTech or a dual degree. For example, Amex only takes, well, I had seen that Amex taking only dual degree people, so that was a bias kind of. But yeah, that shouldn't deter you from anything, because at the end there will be many companies which will take economics and every other branch as well, and you need to be very good at whatever you are doing.
Thank you, Shivansh. Thank you for the meaningful and enlightening discussion.
Thank you, panelists. So we are almost at the end of the event. Panelists, would you like to add any other point that you think was not covered in this discussion, or give any word of advice in general that would help the students?
So just to mention few points about the coding round. So sometimes it happens that like I would advise that go through the instructions, whatever they are mentioned. Don't skip them, because sometimes it has happened that in few platforms you started up with the wrong language. Let's say you started with Python, and by default it is set to Python. You ended up writing the whole code, and then when you click on submit, you get to know that there's a compile error, and then you found that you have chosen the wrong language. And finally, what happens when you click on the tab? Because some platforms, they don't allow you to copy the code. So when you click on the tab and choose the right language, and then what happens is that all your code is gone, and then you don't have enough time, and then you know what has happened. So read all the instructions. Make sure whenever, irrespective of the platform, wherever you are starting to write the code, first see what the language you have chosen, and then start writing the code. Read like other instructions also, because uh, like for us it was online, so we had online proctoring. So sometimes it happens that someone in your home is passing away, and then it eventually exits you from the test. So I don't know whether this time it would be online or not. So yeah, make sure to see these things. Apart from that, there are also, I would advise all of you to go through the blogs published by Code Club and Communiqué and SWG and other societies. Read about various because the seniors, like most of them, have written the blog in very nice and decent manner. You will get to know a lot of things about the company, the hiring process, and what kind of questions, what topics of questions, are asked generally, and other stuff. So go through the blogs, and if you don't even like, if you know everything at and you didn't get to learn anything from the blog, eventually you will get a name of a person, right? So you can contact him or her for further guidance. So yeah, and finally, stay motivated, because what happened is that the like CDC time is just a lot of panic, and uh, yeah. So stay in touch with your friends, stay in touch with your families, be motivated, and yeah.
Thank you, Shivansh,
Yeah,
Priyanjit, and Rashi.
yeah, like CDC times can be very stressful. So try to be as calm as possible and focus more on your preparation. And yeah, read blogs of the seniors who have interned, like who have grabbed internships through CDC. Like that can be very informative as well as motivational for you at this point. So yeah, go through that. Keep preparing well and all the best.
Yeah, like
Okay,
I
Rashi.
think both of them covered it very well. So I have nothing extra to add, just that, yeah, keep yourself motivated and, practice well. Read blogs, as both of them said, read blogs. Many of the seniors have submitted various kinds of blogs. Like I think all kinds of profiles have been covered by many seniors. Like from our batch also, from the batch before also, before COVID also, everything has been covered nicely. So you can just go to Medium or uh, 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 published by one of our clubs and societies also, Communiqué or anything, HWG or something like that. You can always refer to them. And yeah, as Shivansh also mentioned that read the instructions properly for the coding rounds, because what happens is there'll be many companies, and there'll be too many coding platforms. All Like there is no centralized process for this. I don't know why, but all the companies have different kinds of coding platforms. They'll Somebody will send you to some other coding platform, and somebody will send you to some other coding platform, and all of them will have different kinds of instructions and way of writing code in that. Some coding platforms will let you copy, some would not. Generally they don't, but yeah, some would, some would not. So yeah, you need to read them properly and have a good and mostly the coding platforms where you code are not very good. If you code in your PC, like in your laptop, in VS Code or wherever you want to, and if you are giving contests and you code in that custom invocation or wherever, those are very good. Those are very user friendly and stuff like that. But the coding platforms where we'll be giving a test, they are not very user friendly, and they are very bad, to be very honest. But yeah, you can't do anything about it. So you need to be very vigilant, and yeah, I think have a focused attitude and just get on with it.
Thank you, panelists. That was very valuable.
Uh, so just at the last, I would like to share a motivational story. So around this time only last year, one of my friend DM me like, what whether like when the phase two of like the phase one is going to start from next month. So he was asking me when phase two. Do you have any idea when phase two of the internship begins? And I haven't done much preparation yet. So I just motivated him like, try. It's better to try, and just provided him a few resources. And on the day one, 31st July, as far as I remember. So he messaged me, thank you for motivating me at that time. And he eventually got an offer on the day one itself. So if you are someone who is feeling low that you haven't done much preparation right now, still try. Still, you have around 1 month or more. So yeah, you still have a lot of good opportunities waiting for you, and you will be able to crack it. Yeah.
Thank you, panelists, for the informative content.
Coming to the conclusion of this very insightful seminar. Thank you, panelists, for your valuable time and for sharing your insights and experiences with us today. Your contributions have been truly invaluable. Thank you, audience, for your active participation and engagement throughout the seminar.
And just a small announcement before we go. Tomorrow we'll be focusing on the FMCG profile. So Janta, let's meet again tomorrow to get some fun day on the FMCG profile. Thank you very much. See you.
Thank you, everyone.